Coming to you from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk. Welcome back to The Gailey Show. I am John Parker. We are 33 minutes after the hours. A couple weeks ago, we broadcasted live from the Home Hope Health Minneapolis Mayoral Candidate and Voter Education Forum. And then AM 950 aired the full forum live. You can watch that recording on our YouTube channel. But we here at The Gailey Show wanted to continue that coverage. So we are inviting candidates for Minneapolis mayor to join us for a conversation specific to the LGBTQ community. We are concluding those interviews today, where each candidate joins us will be given the same questions and the same amount of time with us. We've curated all of these interviews with our candidates into a special playlist on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@thegailey-show, or you can find the individual episodes everywhere you get your podcasts. Today, our guest candidate is Minnesota State Senator Omar Fateh. Senator Fateh is a Minnesota state senator running for Minneapolis mayor in 2025. He serves as chair of the Higher Education Committee and vice chair of the Human Services Committee. He has been the lead author on successful bipartisan bills ensuring free public college for students from households that make less than $80,000 a year, securing a minimum wage and worker protections for Uber and Lyft drivers, and increasing overdose prevention by exempting fentanyl test strips from classification as drug paraphernalia. Senator Fateh, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Okay, can we start by you sharing with our listeners and viewers the specific actions that you've taken in your career that support the LGBTQ community?
Awesome. I want to begin first by saying thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today and to join your audience and to share my vision and our collective vision for what Minneapolis can be and what we know what the possibilities can be. At the Capitol, we've had many victories, but we still have a long road ahead of us. Last biennium in 2023, we were able to secure a trifecta meaning the Democrats having the governor, House, and the Senate. And with that, we were able to really push the envelope and push for policies that made Minnesota more welcoming, more inclusive, uplifting everyone. One of the proudest moments of the session of last biennium was the passage of the trans refuge bill, Minnesota trans refuge bill, to ensure that we're protecting gender affirming care. And also what we've seen from that is that a whole host of folks from different states, different parts of the country, coming to Minnesota because now it's more welcoming, and now that we know Minnesota is the North Star for the rest of the nation, and I think that's a proud thing to stand by. We were able to work on the banning of conversion therapy, and we know that has been a conversation that has been ongoing for a while now, and we knew that once we had the trifecta, we had to strike while it was hot. We had to make sure that we're making good on some of the promises and things that the values that the DFL holds near and dear. I was a co-author on legislation with my ally, Senator McEwen, and other folks to ensure that in our curriculums we're including the contributions of LGBTQ members and their history. And I think that's really important for us to include for our students to learn about the contributions of our fellow Minnesotans, what they've brought, how they've helped make Minnesota what it is today. And still, as I said, there's still much more we can do and to make ourselves a more welcoming and prosperous city and state.
Thank you for that. My next question, in 2024, according to exit polls, 86% of LGBTQ voters cast their ballots for Vice President Harris and Governor Walz. However, since November, pollsters for Legacy Media and the Democratic Party, think tanks, and a certain popular Democratic governor have called for centrist moderates as well as the Democratic Party to either downplay LGBTQ rights or to stop supporting certain rights altogether. This comes at a time when the LGBTQ community is facing the Trump administration, who is banning LGBTQ school curriculum, ending educational supports for LGBTQ students, revoking federal funding to colleges offering pro-LGBTQ services, banning transgender service members, ending all health care for trans youth, and eliminating hundreds of millions of dollars in LGBTQ research. As mayor, how would you reconcile this fight between those who want political leaders to downplay and or walk away from the LGBTQ community when the community needs the most support?
Well, I would say that the successes that the GOP has seen and the failures that our party has seen even more recently isn't due to our stances and our protections of the LGBTQ community. What we've seen is that the LGBTQ community, just like other communities, want to see us guarantee housing as a human right, provide health care for everyone, gender affirming care, making sure that there's adequate wages. We know, especially like in Southside Minneapolis, the district that I represent, there's a disproportionate amount in terms of homelessness, transgender and transgender youth especially, which is heartbreaking. And so those are the kind of the issues that we've been facing and speaking towards. There's a reason why we've seen Trump succeed in 2024, but now we're seeing a whole host of progressives this year locally, from New York to here to Seattle, succeeding. And that's because it's the message of affordability and speaking to the needs of people on a human level. And now, was Trump lying? Of course, 110% he was lying, but he knew he needed to speak that language to win the election. And so we know that right now we're going to be in a position in which the Trump administration is going to force a choice, saying that you either have to sacrifice your values or lose funding. And as mayor, I want to say unequivocally that we cannot set the precedent of sacrificing our values. We need to make sure that we're standing strong, and we can do it. We can make up the gaps in funding or whatever losses we have by having a cross-jurisdictional approach to planning to partner the city with the county, county with the state, and fighting together and providing that strong line of defense so that we're not sacrificing our values. And so I disagree with some of our party members that the reason why we've seen some of the losses is around social issues, and that's not the case at all.
We're talking with Minnesota State Senator Omar Fateh, who is a candidate for Minneapolis mayor. Early voting is underway. You can find your ballot and polling location at vote.minneapolismn.gov. There you can also find information on how to register to vote. Election day is November 4th. Senator Fateh, our news partner, Windy City Times, has discovered that in Chicago, no major hospital provides gender-affirming care anymore to trans youth because their federal funding was threatened by the Trump administration. In Michigan, their attorney general put hospital systems on notice, saying that the availability of federal funds from the Trump administration does not determine whether or not those healthcare providers can comply with state laws. In Pennsylvania, a complaint has been filed with that state's Human Rights Commission against a hospital system when they stopped providing trans healthcare services after threats from the Trump administration. As mayor, how would you support healthcare systems in Minneapolis to continue providing gender-affirming healthcare and hold them accountable if they stop?
Absolutely right. And I think that it's important, to not set the precedent as mayor in terms of throwing our communities under the bus. I want to ensure that I leverage my relationships that I have at the Capitol right now. I've been in the Senate for 5 years. Some of my strongest colleagues, strongest allies and close friends chair powerful committees such as Health and Human Services and Human Services, and folks that we can partner with to say, hey, listen, if we're going to lose funding at the federal level, what creative solutions can we come up with together to ensure that we're supporting our hospitals, to ensure that we're continuing to provide coverage for our residents, especially our trans residents. And so there's a lot we can do, and I learned a lot this past year around what the state can do, what the city can do. At the city level, we can institute a local wealth tax, working with the state to make that happen, to bring in more revenue. At the state also, there's a whole host of tax expenditures that are just outrageous. Things like tax write-offs for buying box office tickets for like Timberwolves games that rich people can benefit off of, or purchasing horses for horse races, for example, and things like that. I think we identified as like a progressive team close to like $1 billion in expenditures that can go towards things like ensuring that our hospitals continue to providing care instead. And so my goal as mayor is to be the strongest advocate possible, help identify that, but also creative solutions we can partner with together with the state to make sure that we're continuing to provide the care at the hospitals, because again, Minneapolis should be leading the way. We should not be lagging behind. We should not be sacrificing our values as a state and as a city. We just need a mayor that's willing to stand firm.
My final question to you today, what specific actions would you take as mayor to stand up to the Trump administration's anti-LGBTQ executive orders, which cover a lot of different issues and include freezing federal funding to force our compliance?
Again, I 100% stand and firm with state law. Our state law has made the state of Minnesota a refuge for our trans residents, and we got to do everything we can to protect our LGBT community as a whole. We know that, for example, in 2024, the Trans Equity Council was canceled, and that was a mishap that was created by the mayor. And so we know that to best support our LGBT community and our queer and trans community, that we can't go at it alone. We need to seek their guidance, seek their advice, learn how they're being negatively impacted, positively impacted, and come up with solutions and policy with everyone at the table, with them at the table, rather than creating policy, formulating policy, and explaining it later. It's more helpful to bring folks into the decision-making process as we're going along. How can we better serve you? How can we better partner with the county? How can we better partner with the state? What sources of funding can you help identify? What policy changes can we tweak at the city level with your help? And I think that's the right approach we can take.
Senator Fateh, thank you for joining me today. We really appreciate your taking the time. We know it's the busiest part of the campaign season.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate you.
For more information about Senator Fateh's candidacy, you can visit fatehformayor.com. That's FATEH.com. Early voting, again, is underway. You can find your ballot and polling location at vote.minneapolismn.gov. There you can also find information on how to register to vote. Election Day is November 4th. Thank you, Senator Fateh.